Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Hackers, the 1995 film that I think is ridiculous, ludicrous, has no basis in reality. I mean, this movie is an absolute artifact of a time in which most people, or maybe not most people, but a lot of people, had no understanding of how computers worked, and the whole idea of what a hacker does, and the visualization of what hacking looks like, where they have these kind of over-the-top visuals, and everything's been just digitally modified to look just kind of otherworldly in some way, or just over the top and neon and stupid, and there's no basis in reality for the way these people dress. I mean, Matthew Lillard is in this, and his costuming is, I mean, there's just no basis in reality for anything in this movie, which I think is what makes this movie a lot of fun to watch. It is so stupid and over the top, and you can tell that the people behind it have no understanding of computers or young people or society or anything. And this movie came out of a think tank that was probably populated by people in their 40s who were like, what are these kids up to today? But if you can just kind of take pleasure in all of that, this movie is just great because of that. I mean, you definitely are not going to be getting a deep story or deep connections or interesting characters or characters that are there for you to really buy into or any of that stuff, but you are going to get an entertaining time at the movies if you can enjoy it in the right frame of mind. Starring Johnny Lee Miller, an actor who most people will always associate with his role in Trainspotting, and deservedly so, because that movie is vastly superior to this one. He plays this hacker that goes to a new school. He is introduced to a crew of other hackers, which again is another thing that has no basis in reality. I don't think that every high school you went to had a group of hackers that was this vast, and of course the age range of all the characters in this movie is just really wild, and that whole thing. But Johnny Lee Miller plays basically the cool hacker, where all these other hackers are kind of nerdy and nebbish, or at the very least they are not nearly as cool as Johnny Lee Miller, and because he plays his characters the kind of like the cool hand Luke of the hacking world, where he doesn't sell things, and he has this bravado about him, and this wall of superiority that is up, and where he's the main character too, which is entertaining because there's not any of these really great over the top moments. You do understand who he is kind of at his core, but at the same time he has this bravado up, like I said, throughout. It makes him a little bit hard to relate to, and also just the concept of what he's doing also further obscures his character, which I think is not a problem from this movie if you're looking at it from an actual filmmaking standpoint, but as this kind of archive of ridiculous adds to the charm of the film. Then the next biggest character in it is definitely played by Angelina Jolie, who was not nearly the caliber of star that she would become, but she plays his romantic interest, who's also kind of his main competition as being the best hacker of this group, and he manages to just basically slightly outdo her in a couple of scenes, and she also is very obscured from a character point of view. She is a lot like a lot of Angelina Jolie's characters. She has this kind of tough exterior that she doesn't seem to want to let down, and all the characters around her kind of seem to be a little bit kind of in awe of her and that whole thing. But I mean, it's definitely not one of her more stellar performances, and I completely understand why. I mean, they cut her hair really short and have her in really kind of over the top makeup, and I'm sure she kind of might have felt a little bit ridiculous, not because of the hair, but just the whole all over look. Their fashion in this movie, everybody's fashion, I mean, dear lord. And the two of them together, I mean, I will say that they definitely had a ton of chemistry on the screen, which it makes a lot of sense because they became involved in real life. So I think one of the actual strengths of this movie from an actual filmmaking point of view is their chemistry and the sequences that they are in together. Some of them, they really feel like they're very committed to them, probably because of the real life connection between the two of them. I think it's definitely one of the strengths of this movie, and this movie has a number of other actors in it. Like Fisher Stevens is in it, an actor who has been very good in some roles, and he plays the main villain. He's this other hacker that worked for this company, and the hackers realize that he's sold out to the man, and he's doing these evil things, and they must take him down. But he has a crew of hackers that are working for him, and there's going to be the hacker war, and that's going to be this riveting sequence, right? Which, of course, in real life would just be a bunch of people and they wouldn't even have this face. They would just be like. But in this, I mean, there's these over-the-top visuals, and that's another thing too. This movie has a lot of the. I mean, that is one of the things that always drives me nuts when I'm watching people on computers in movies and TV, where nobody actually makes this sound when they're typing. It's and maybe faster than that, but that's just that it's so abundantly clear that they're just doing let's do computer things. But I mean, back to Fisher Stevens. I mean, his character is so ridiculous and over the top, and chewing the walls in this evil way, like Snidely Whiplash style villain. Wouldn't be surprised if he grew a mustache and was twisting it, you know. But in this obscure hacker world that this movie creates, and I think he is one of the main reasons why this movie works. And there's a crew of other hackers that are behind Angelina Jolie and Johnny Miller's place. The group of them, there's very few of them that you actually kind of have their own distinct characters. I mean, they're all interesting, but they're just kind of this collective. I mean, the only two that really stand out for me are Matthew Lillard's character, because he is so over the top and he has a lot of really big lines, and the way he dresses is ridiculous, and he's kind of the comedic tone of this movie. And then you have Jesse Bradford, who's also in it because he's like the newbie of the group, that they're kind of bringing him and kind of showing the ropes, and the way everything progresses with his character is kind of interesting. I mean, this movie as a whole is just so ridiculous and over the top, and it's just not at all a great movie. The only other actors, there's a couple other notable actors. You have Lorraine Bracco, who plays basically the boss of Fisher Stevens, and Penn Jillette, who's one of his cronies. But I mean, overall, this movie. Dear Lord, this movie. But at the same time, dear Lord, this movie, if you know what I'm saying. So those are my thoughts on Hackers. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, if you're a fan, if you hated it, whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people check out this video. Let me know what they think, which is something I absolutely would love, because I love chatting with people about movies. And besides that, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you can let me know when you can be let know when I put out a new video, and you come and check it out and give me your feedback. Aside from that, have yourself a good day.